You guys, I am here with the super cute, super fabulous Raquel Merlini. Raquel, tell everybody who you are.
Hi, my name is Raquel Merlini, and I'm located in Birmingham, Michigan. It's a suburb outside of Detroit. And I was first an esthetician, and then from being an esthetician, I fell in love with the industry, and I went to nursing school at the age of 40 and became a nurse as well as a licensed esthetician. So now I do injectables, and it's been quite a journey.
I love that. I love that because it's never too late or too soon or too early to like pivot and pivot hard. Like that's great. Do you feel like all estheticians should be like in the medical field somehow, some way?
I No, you know why? I think there's a niche for every single person. I think medical aesthetics is very different from just being at a salon spa. Not that there's anything wrong with either one, that there's a positive or a negative. I just think that, you know, um, medical tends to be more, we're correcting and really doing prevention. And sometimes I love to just go to a spa so that I can have the fluff and puff, the
Mhm.
relaxation, the whole aromatherapy, and you're just kind of in that zen, where ours just tends to be a little bit more on the medical side. So we don't do, like, I don't have massages, which I
Mhm.
would love because I,
Mhm.
I always dream that I'm going to get services at my actual place when
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
being an owner.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that there is room for all different walks of life in the industry.
I agree. I agree. Everybody has their own, like you said, like a niche that they can do. So you are a spa owner, right? Yes. So we were talking about it before we hit record, but what are some of the things, I mean, of course, if you're comfortable talking about some of the things that maybe a lot of estheticians, a lot of people in general just kind of get like glamored by with being an owner? Like, can you share some of the
Yeah, right.
trials and the hardships
Yes,
to make it real and raw for people?
yes. So, well, one, I'm a nurse, so I do have a medical director.
Okay.
So I do still, I'm overseen by my medical director. But for the most part, I'm doing the marketing, the hiring, the day-to-day management of the staff, and the building of the practice and
Hmm.
where we want to head. So, I mean, like we were discussing earlier, I think the glamour part is I'm going to be an owner, I'm going to make my own schedule, I'm going to punch out at the end of the day. If I don't want to answer the phone, I have that choice. If I want to take a long vacation, I'm going to do that as well. And what I've found is you're never really off the clock. Where previously I could punch out. I was worked for a plastic surgeon for 13 years, and it was 9 to 5. Now, my patients could still access me because I liked to be hands-on
Hmm.
with the follow-up,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the daily worries, ordering, balancing your budget, looking at your sales in comparison to your overhead, and all of the cost of doing business every single day. So that wasn't such an issue. So I think that a lot of people have the perception that it's going to be pretty easy and straightforward. I think another part is, unless you're in business only with yourself and for yourself, I don't think that people understand the managing of staff also.
Hmm.
You know, uh, I know people who are brilliant on paper. They have an MBA and they're a plastic surgeon, and, they have all of these credentials. And yes, they might have that master's of business, but they might not be understand people, because there's a psychology that goes behind it also.
Hmm.
So, especially if you're looking at Instagram, everybody, is recording. And of course, when we're told, like, our marketing person is in, I'll do my hair a little bit more that day.
Right.
I might
Right. Right.
actually put foundation on as opposed to just my
Just the
my
powder.
glow oil drops, right? So, you know, it's definitely, I know by the end of the day, my hair is usually sticking every which way. I've got three pairs of glasses pulled out of every single orifice I have because I can never find them. And I need readers and all of that kind of things. Progressives, that's a new thing too. So, it's not glamorous. Like I wish that it was like Instagram, fabulous, but it's a whole, you're rolling up your sleeves and also I think if you're a good leader, let's not even say business owner, if you're
Hmm.
a good leader, your staff knows that I can do exactly the job that they're doing. So I can roll up my sleeves and I can dig in. My progression uh, or story was I started as an esthetician, then I was a medical assistant while I was going through my nursing program to my physician. So I could draw product. I understood taking patients back, making sure that you had consent sign, as well as prepping the day and cleaning up for the day also, and then still
Yeah.
charting everything that you do too. So I think a good leader understands all facets of the company and can relate to their staff as well. So it's not, I mean,
I do.
but
I
it's a lot
do.
of work. I
I
wouldn't
do.
change it for anything, but
Right.
there's so much that goes behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like we were talking before, like I do, like for me, I loved what you said that just because you have it on paper, whether you are an MBA or a certified coach or those certifications, it doesn't make you and it doesn't mean that you're just an excellent communicator or an excellent leader. It like the papers don't guarantee like the promise that those papers bring, you know?
Right.
So,
Or success.
right. Or it's like you have to be educating yourself and seeking people still above you because at the end of the day, we're still human and we're
Right.
women on top of that. So we're gonna have our moments. Like,
Right.
let's be real.
Yes.
We're gonna have our moments and it's not gonna be pretty and people are gonna get upset. Like, okay. So how does it work with a medical, I guess the medical side? Because I feel like a lot of estheticians, they love that side of the business because obviously there's more money involved, right? But
Mm.
there's also more education, more just more, and I don't feel like they know about it. How
Yeah.
can we get them to know about it? Like talk.
Well, I mean, again, you can't, you can take the horse to the water, but unless they're seeking, they've got to be passionate about it. So, I mean, you graduate from, let's say, beauty school or cosmetology school or aesthetic school, but you really aren't a specialist. I always go back to that 10,000 hour rule, right?
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you.
So anybody listening, I used to get my fanny would get so frosted when I would hear people say, "Oh, I'm a master injector."
Thank you.
Well,
Yes.
what quantifies you? I've never called myself a master injector, and
Me
believe me,
neither.
I have well over 10,000 hours in the industry. So
Yes.
I think, especially in this industry, it is constantly changing and evolving. Just when you think you have a handle on something, they come out with a new product, a new neurotoxin, a new laser, a new microneedling,
Yeah.
a skin pen, microneedling with radio frequency. So, you definitely have to be a lifelong learner.
Hmm.
I think in this industry, you don't ever get comfortable. Um, the difference, I think, again, between being in a salon or a spa as opposed to a medical aesthetics is liability. Like all
Mm.
of our software is HIPAA compliant.
Oh.
Even our booking software is HIPAA compliant because I'm big on assessment. And again, I don't care if you're in a spa atmosphere or you're in medical, you need to keep really good charting,
Mm.
detailed charting, and photos because the one thing that you can count on with skin, it is your largest organ and it is constantly changing. So I could have and I could be a regular of yours. I could see you
Yeah.
every single 4 weeks. But what happened in that 4 weeks? Were you sick? Were you on an antihistamine? Were you on an antibiotic? Because if you were on an antibiotic, that's going to make your skin more sun sensitized, right?
Hmm.
Or heat sensitized, possibility a little more reactionary. So you also need to know that health history, whether you're in a salon spa, do you get cold sores? Because anytime you dermaplane, microneedle, microdermabrasion, use a chemical, use a laser, you can trigger a breakout, in this perioral area, even
Hmm.
if you're getting bikini, laser hair removal, or even waxing with that. Are you on Veltrex or some type of medication for that? So those are questions that I always think, regardless of what type of practice you're in. I
Hmm.
can't stress that enough. And then even like at my old practice, even though we were medical, they didn't take photos in the med spa. And I'm always like, if especially when you're treating browns or reds or freckling,
Hmm.
or anything, you don't want to think the worst case scenario, but your photos are still always going to be important. Was that spot there before? Because sometimes you get something cleared up and somebody will come back and they're like, well, I have this red spot here. Well, you did. It was a broken capillary or a telangiectasia, but it was covered up by the brown that was on top of it, that hyperpigmentation. So once you treat the hyperpigmentation, then that red might display itself. So you can go back, because I mean, we all like to think that we have good memories, but I see anywhere from 15 to 25 patients a day. I work 5 days a week. I'm not going to remember 100 patients that
Hmm.
what happened 4 weeks ago. So when I look back in my chart and I say, okay, well, you were here 4 weeks ago. This is what your skin looked like on that day.
Hmm.
This is what it looks like today. So, charting is very important. Back to again the big and using your photographs to not only to protect your patient, but to protect yourself also, right?
Yeah.
As a
Yeah.
provider. So that's very, very important. Again, like I was saying, the big difference is with medical, we have to follow HIPAA, meaning that like even if I take, patients like, well, I don't want to have my photos, displayed. We have a consent for that. If you're not consenting to any photos being displayed, that's fine. But like when I have a patient who comes in my treatment room as an injector and they refuse photos, I can also refuse to treat you. Because if anything was to go wrong, then I don't have a baseline that I can do a comparison to. So
Mm.
I think that that's, again, with medical, there's some legality issues with making sure that you are HIPAA compliant and you're following OSHA. I mean, you got to do that regardless, but you want to make sure that you're very, very diligent with that aspect.
Absolutely. Now that is okay. So I heard what you said, but I'm in my mind, I translated it into, and correct me if I'm wrong. So if a patient is like, no, I don't want you taking pictures of me, but meanwhile you actually need to, and you
Yeah.
can refuse to treat that person. So so you can refuse to treat somebody because they don't want to take a picture?
It's you can refuse a treatment even if your gut instinct, I've had patients come in and I know they are not mentally in a good place. They
Mm-hmm.
have either body dysmorphia,
Yeah.
generally speaking, maybe that diagnosis. But then in addition, if they're, I just want to change my face because, my husband's cheating on me, or I lost my job and I'm not happy, or, I had a miscarriage and I just hate looking at myself and I just need a change.
Oh,
I think that's when you have to put on your responsibility
and say
hat
no.
and
Yeah.
say, you know what, I don't think that we should treat today. I'm not saying I won't treat you if you want to come back in 3 or 4 weeks, but I just think I can tell you're either crying or you're just not in a good headspace and
Mm.
you're wanting an unrealistic um uh
Expectation.
outcome
Yeah.
expectation,
Yeah.
then you can. And I think that people are afraid now. Yes, when I was younger, I took on everything, right?
Hmm.
Mass for the shut-ins. And I don't say that in a bad way, but I mean, if they came in with silicone in their lips, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to, blend that silicone and get it looking beautiful. And, because I'm a great injector.
Hmm.
And then you just learn I can't fix that. I can try to
Yeah.
mask it a little bit, but eventually that silicone is just going to come to the surface. So now where I'm at in my practice, but I've been treating as an esthetician for about 20 years and an injector for about 15. I'm old enough and secure enough in my practice that I don't mind refusing treatment. And of course, I mean you do it with a soft hand, right?
Yes.
Don't want to
Yes.
offend anybody.
That's
But
the key. Yeah.
I think, it's a psychological thing also in the beauty industry, even if it's your hair, I mean, I just cut my bangs because I was having a breakdown. I'm like, I need something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I wanted to commit to them, but you know what? It's hair, it's going to grow out,
Right.
but you just want to make sure that your patient, that you're doing as a nurse, I take an oath to do no harm. And I
Yeah.
think if you're conscientious, whatever industry, the beauty industry that you're
Hmm.
in, you have to also look at your patient and say, am I doing the best possible or providing the best possible care for where they're at right now?
I personally love that. It is a lot of psychology because we are dealing with people. And then as business owners, we're dealing with people on multiple levels, right? We have our employees or our renters, and then we have our clients, and then we have, you know, our own network of like accountants and lawyers and this and that. Like so there's different communication
Layers, yeah.
layers, yeah. So with what you're saying, I know that happens a lot in the industry where people are like, if you don't want to do something, just don't do it. Just fire the client. And it's like, whoa, like reel it back. How do you teach that to estheticians, the younger group that are just starting or maybe 5 years experience? Like, how do you teach that love that I just heard from you? Because it didn't sound like I'm not going to do it. It just sounded like, babe, like let's not, and we'll try again next time. Like, how do you teach that out?
Right. Well, it depends if they're teachable, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I'm very blessed with a good staff.
Yeah.
But I think also in this industry, it's a very lucrative industry.
Hmm.
And I don't think that sometimes people are looking at treating people. They're looking for that paycheck. And that's always to me like, red flag. If you're somewhere as a patron and you're feeling like it's a money grab, you need to run, right? But as a leader and an educator with my staff and with my team, the assessment's really big. So I build in at my previous location, I didn't have this luxury. That's probably a nice thing with being having the ability of being
Hmm.
an owner and making my own schedule is I built in an extra 5 to 10 minutes with my patients before their treatment. Meaning that if it's let's just say from an aesthetics point of view, you're coming in for a facial and it's a 45-minute facial. We booked that 5 minute turnaround time
Hmm. Hmm.
for the provider, but also I build in an extra 10 minutes that you're able to sit down. I don't want the patient to feel rushed. My staff knows I'm very disciplined with time. We don't run behind schedule. You've got to be a time managing human
Hmm.
being.
Hmm.
Uh, and I tell them go in like when you come in for an injectable treatment with me, I sit on the stool. So I get down, I'm not standing over, I don't
Right.
want to have an intimidation. I don't want
Right.
a superior. You're here, I'm there looking down. My patients come in, they're in the treatment chair. I sit on my stool and I scoot up close to them and I say, "What's going on? How
Mm.
are you?"
Mm.
Usually I know something about most of my clients are long term, but even with a new client, I'm like, "Tell me a little bit about your life." Because I'm assessing. One, I'm hearing
Right.
what is their mental state. Also, do they sound like they have a realistic, we're putting together a plan. What is that plan? Do we have a year? Do we have 6 months? Do we have a special event? So, it's really important. I'm like, somehow you have to connect as a provider with your client slash patient. And then also that's going to tie in with retention. So if you've
Mm-hmm.
got that relationship, I mean, we all know I'm not a Groupon girl. I don't discount anything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not where what I want. I think it brings in a certain type of clientele where they're hoppers. They just hop from place to place dependent upon the deal. I'm more about the long-term relationship. So it's making that connection, having the patient feel from the time that they walk in. We really are a concierge establishment here.
Mm.
My front desk girl will stand up, identify you by name. My medical assistant whisks you back. While she's doing the assessment, she's usually asking what's going on in your life so that by the time they get back to me, then they're telling me, like, so and so just came back from a vacation, or their kid's getting ready to graduate, or they just got a puppy, or their daughter's pregnant. So then by the time I get in there, I'm sitting in on the stool and I'm having that 5 to 7 minute dialogue with my patient, catching up so that they feel, one, not rushed, two, we're all you like, just come in and take a breath. You know,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
know what they were experiencing before they got over. Was it traffic? Did they argue with their, spouse? Was their kid calling from school sick? Are they
Yeah.
frazzled?
Yeah.
Like, come in. I want this to be a calm experience. So
Yeah.
I think all of my girls do that. They had to shadow me before. My most of my injectors were my medical assistant previously. My other one, who wasn't my medical assistant, she was a patient of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So, they observed the way that I operate
Right.
and the care that I give to my patients. So, you know, if it's not teachable, I mean, I you wouldn't be a fit for my practice.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it doesn't make you a bad person, but I think that
Right.
that's going to be the difference between surviving in a practice or thriving, right?
Mm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
going to thrive if you have that relationship with the patient.
I love everything. You're just like you're telling me, and I'm just like having this picture, and I'm like, wow, I might have to fly to Michigan and get and see you to
I would
just
love that, but you're
woo.
gorgeous. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And also, like, I had a major deja vu moment when you were talking, and I'm like, oh my God, did we talk? Like I was in another place because I was relaxed, and that was great.
We may have done this before on a different plane.
The different the time continuum is real, okay?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you mentioned Groupon, and I I don't know if it's me. Maybe it's just me in my area of Florida. Maybe this is a struggle for many
Yeah.
estheticians, medical or not. But, skincare for most of the world feels and seems like a luxury, right? Not like a need. Like, oh, I need to get a facial. A lot of people are like, I want a facial so bad. How do how do estheticians, whether solo, whether working on a team, whether medical, how do they advertise themselves? Like, how do they grow? I feel like
Yeah.
that's a big struggle, and I don't know what
It,
to tell them.
it's such a competitive market. So I've been working this year, this will be our third year open in May. And I had my reputation has been what's carrying, but I also
Yeah.
want my girls to grow. Like, I want
Right.
to invest in them
Right.
because they're amazing. And so when when my marketing guy was doing an overall, he said, I've never seen an area that is as saturated as yours.
As really?
He's
Oh,
like, you're number
wow.
three in your area, but like he said, and I've got three in my building. Like, my landlord will call and say, do you have a problem if like a med spa goes in your off in like in the building? And I'm like, I don't see competition. I mean, there's a Taco Bell, Burger King, McDonald's. I mean, listen. there's flavors for everybody. So
That's
I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Put them in. I mean, if they're going to succeed, that's awesome. Good for them. I think everybody, if you've got the heart and the drive, you can be successful. But, when I first started, I was a professional bodybuilder. So I had, um,
girl.
oh God, yeah, those days are gone.
Girl. Oh my, I'm a CrossFitter and I'm like
Oh,
struggling, but okay, okay.
everybody, let me just tell you, because you're young, everybody should be doing something weight-bearing exercise. That's a whole nother podcast, but
Yeah, it
for
is.
our bone density, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's huge. But so I really networked because now everybody's on the GLP-1s, so they all have Ozempic face. They're freaking out. I dealt with that when we would diet down. I mean, I look like a dude. I got so much flack through Instagram that, I look like a guy, I look like Arnold because you're so
Look,
chiseled and so that loss of volume. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. I already know how to deal with that because I dealt with that 10 years ago.
yeah.
But I networked in my industry and I said to patients, like, listen, we're spending $700 on a bathing suit. You're spending X amount to be able to train, food, hotel, all of that. And then you're going on stage, you're getting your hair and makeup, but you look like a faccia lacane. Your face is a dog. It's got to go. I'm like, we need some volume. Come in, get some Botox for God's sakes. We're
Yeah.
like, it's why I'm
Yes.
so vascular, my neck and everything. We're like that. You, So, girl, let's do some
Yeah.
stuff. So I
Yeah.
networked through that. So my thing and then the other great thing was my hairdressers. My hairdressers have been amazing. We're sitting in a chair. I don't know. The lighting always sucks. I look in the mirror when I'm getting my hair done and I think I need a ponytail facelift of some kind. So your hairdressers are going to be great referrals
Hmm.
because we're sitting there, we're already getting a beauty treatment. Talk
Yeah.
to me about something else. Another great marriage was because I was in plastics, was you're coming in for a facelift. You're coming in for a facelift, but you have such extrinsic wear and tear on your outer layer of skin, the lines, the elasticity, the collagen loss, that yeah, they're going to be able to pull you and you're going to look tighter, but you're still going to have all of those ridges, those crisscross lines because you haven't done anything with your skin.
Mm.
So my marriage was dealing with the plastics patients,
Yeah.
and then I would transition my plastics patients into the treatment room for microneedling, a laser treatment. Then when I was treating skin, I'm talking about let's revolumize and soften the lines with
Hmm.
Botox. So
Hmm.
whatever it is, you're a CrossFitter. When you're in the CrossFit gym, you should be doing some type of a promotion, right? Like
Right.
team up. We just did, and I can't even take credit for it. My patient coordinator she's brilliant. And so she's been teaming up with local gyms. Let us come in. We'd love to do an event. We'll pay. We absorb the pay. We say to our patients, there's 30 slots. You want to go and do a Pure Barre class or, a CrossFit class or jumping on those trampolines now. Fine, we'll pay for it. First, whoever signs up, and then you get a grab bag. And in the grab bag, we'll put samples of some products, maybe give 10 free units for Botox, maybe 25% off or $75 off a facial or something along those lines.
It's cool.
So that was a lot of
No,
rattling on. I'm
no,
so sorry. You can cut me off.
no,
I get
no.
passionate because you've got to build, but it's networking.
Yes.
It's simple. People are like, oh, I'm going to go on Instagram and I'm going to do a post. Everybody wants to be an influencer.
Yeah, yeah,
How
it's
about
true.
just old school? Go talk to somebody. And
Yes.
if you're even I don't know why girls are so intimidated. If I see a beautiful woman, I'm a weirdo. I will walk up to her and I'm like, you're gorgeous. Can I just tell you how beautiful? What?
Wow.
Not.
You're awesome. Okay, but that is so good because we're all just human. Like we're human. My grandmother goes, we all go to the bathroom the same way. Okay.
True.
So, so just be that, and that's why on the podcast, be real and raw. you're gonna, yeah, okay, they're gonna say they're probably gonna reject you, but who cares? Like you
Right, they
just
might look at me like
offered.
I'm a
Yeah.
weirdo or something, or
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pick you up. I'm a very handsome fella, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to, and even my clients will be, I'll say you're beautiful, and they're like, oh, you say that to everybody. No, I don't. If I'll find something nice to say about everybody, whether I like
Exactly.
your handbag, your shoes, your hair, but I just think that, more people, if we were a little kinder to one another, I'm a girl's girl. I like to empower other women. I think that there doesn't take away from you giving someone a compliment. But, I'm old school. Like I said, just talk to your hairdresser,
Hmm.
talk to your facialist, talk to whoever does your brows or your lashes, and then do a referral. Don't just be a gimme, gimme, gimme.
Right.
Give something back. Like, I had an amazing hairdresser and she sent me like 3 or 4 clients and she came in and I treated her and she went up to check out and she's like, what do I owe you? And I said, nothing. And she says, what do you mean? And I said, you know what? You've been so good to me and you've given me some amazing referrals. I'm not charging you today. So, I think you have to be able to give a little bit also.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and whatever that looks like. One person's $1 might be somebody else's $10, but
Right.
it's all relative. Just give, and
Yeah.
believe me, it will come back to you.
Yeah. Well, we like to say in the salon is that you got to lose. You got
Right.
more often than not, believe it or not. And then you will reap what you sow. And so then that applies to everybody, you know?
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, so what everything you said, I'm hearing is you have to work with everything you got to get to market yourself to grow as an esthetician or anybody in business. Like that's what you do. You scrape the bottom of the barrel and you use it. I love it. What's your favorite insult that you've ever gotten, personal or professional, that you're so happy that you got because it's your driver.
Oh, yeah. Um, so I was married for 20 years and I was a stay-at-home mom and I did have a very lovely life. We lost everything in the crash of 2008 and then
Oh.
2006 through 10 and
Mm-hmm.
and we made it back, but 2 years after that, um I don't know, I don't want to share my person. So I decided that it just wasn't going to be work out anymore. So I walked out, I packed my stuff and I actually moved out. And I was told that I would never make it a day in my life on my own.
Oh.
So
Oh.
I was like, okay. But can I tell you, I love a challenge because my coach told me I would never be able to compete. He's like, I didn't have the discipline. And I said, okay. So I love being told I can't do something.
I love that. And as a business owner, especially a woman in business, like I'm sure you've gotten that more times than you can count.
Yeah, I like being underestimated. I
Uh-huh.
think it's great. Other people don't, they maybe stick their head in the sand, but I'm like, give me a challenge. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Okay, so what is a lesson that you have learned because you're kind of like a hybrid kind of SD, right? Because you've been in the medical, you've seen some crazy stuff there. You're an
Yeah.
esthetician, you're a business owner, you've had your own life experiences. What is a lesson that you have learned from the beauty industry that you wish all of these people who just don't get it, that you wish they would understand?
The biggest thing I believe would be doing it because you think you're going to make money.
Mm,
This industry is booming exponentially.
mm,
Nurses are now going to school not to be bedside or in the hospital. They're going to school just to inject. I think people want to get into the skincare industry because they think it's glamorous,
mm.
or also because they just want to get treatments. which is fine
Mm-hmm.
if that's what you think you
Mm-hmm.
want to do. But
Mm-hmm.
or they're going to be an influencer. So I think that that's kind of a lot of my pet peeves. Like the industry is very lucrative. You have the ability to make money in it. But I also think if you're not in it for the right reasons, your quality of care isn't going to be there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really answered your question. I mean, I have many pet peeves with it, but I think the transactional portion is,
Is the big one. Yeah,
yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. What do you feel are the right reasons to be in the beauty industry?
Because you want to make people feel good. I mean,
Hmm.
it is so, yes, I have those heavier days, as I'm sure you can attest to, where you see a client, you just know they're going to be heavy
Hmm.
with whatever's going on. And that's when you may have to dig deeper also, because, I think that our clients and patients tend to forget that we're people also, and with our own set of crosses that we might be bearing at that point in time. Um, and also don't, it's their time, so you don't want it to be, I mean, I've gotten a massage and the person talks the whole time about whatever's going on in their life. I don't want to hear it. Like this is my 1 hour for me not to have to hear my own mental chatter.
Right, right,
Right.
right. Like, please, please, this is not personal, but shut up.
Right.
I know,
Like,
I
I mean, but again, the great thing
know.
about getting older is that's when I just go and I'm like, listen, this isn't personal. I just want to lay here and relax because I need to check out. So I just don't want to talk. I'm not being rude.
Right, right, right. No, I
But
love it.
yeah, so I think, God, this is such an amazing industry. It's such a feel good industry because when you get your lips done and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till my husband sees them, or, and
Hmm.
you feel a little more refreshed or youthful, or, those angry lines from your two
Yeah.
kids, those 11s that, are Charlie and Jackie right there, and they're like gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, yes. So, making people feel good. And then even from like a plastic side, I've seen where people have had like a scar on their face that they might have got when they were younger. Maybe their parent dropped them and they just, and then they felt every time they looked at that was a memory of a bad moment in their life of either abandonment or rejection. And then you correct that and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how good I feel. So
Hmm.
I think the right reasons are you're passionate about it, you believe in it. I think you also need to receive treatments because you can't be good at what you do unless you actually receive the treatment and you understand and can describe it and live it to your patient. It's like going, who wants a overweight personal trainer? Like if you can't even take care of your own self, how am I going to trust you through the process that you can do it for me? So,
Hmm.
I think that, you need to live it, walk the walk also for your clients and patients. Um, yeah.
I like it. I like it. What's your favorite piece of advice for estheticians in the industry right now? Like, what's your favorite piece that you've gotten that you want to share? And then what is it, period, that you need them to understand?
One, be authentic. Don't try to be something that you're not,
Mm,
right? Whatever influencer might be doing something on that's popular, at that moment, but could be totally different than like your belief system or what you try to exude because you're gonna be fraudulent. You're gonna come across as a fraud, and they're not gonna be able to connect with you.
hmm.
So I really think being authentic and transparent also, uh, you know, giving patients also a realistic expectation, right? If somebody comes in and says, oh, I want my skin to look like this person, well, that's a filter. You're not gonna, we all have pores, we all
Yep.
have lines when we smile, we
Yep.
animate. So again, I think just, for that provider to be able to connect with that patient or client is the best advice is, be authentic, be transparent, be honest, be upfront with them. Don't tell them a story just to get them to do the treatment or buy a
Mm,
product from you because they're going
mm-hmm,
to be disappointed. And two things are either going to happen. They're going to make a complaint, they're going to give you a terrible review, they're going to bring the product back.
mm-hmm.
That's the best case scenario because you can hopefully get them back in and rectify that,
Right.
or they're just not going to come to you and then they're going to tell five of their friends not to go to you.
Oh, which kills me. Yes. 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 Okay, so what do you for the SDs and anybody listening who's they're like a nervous Nelly, right? They're very
Mhm.
scared. If
Mhm.
estheticians, they are naturally introverts, which is fine. That is a beautiful thing, right? Your strengths are so much better, I feel like, in a certain way. How do you get them to educate their clients on retail and actually move the retail for their own benefit? It's not about the owner,
Yeah.
it's about the trust of the client. Move the product for your own self so you can get money. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Right. Well, right. So this is how I tell my girls because one of my first jobs, I worked for Clinique.
Love.
So I learned system selling,
Mm.
right? Everybody
Mm-hmm.
would come up, they want their DDML. I can't even believe after 30 years, I know what DDML is. That's that dramatic yellow moisturizer that everybody buys.
Yeah, that's the one.
The one that's been around for 100 years on dinosaurs. So, and then they're like, oh, well, then they need the clarifying lotion, and then oh, they need the face wash that goes with it.
Yeah.
So, and then the serums and all those other things. So when you're treating a patient and they're in your room, and again, this is where you should be well versed on
Mm.
all of the products
Yeah.
in your wheelhouse. Number one. Number two, you also, I have one esthetician. She's 62 years old. She's been in the industry for 30 years. She's amazing. She understands aging skin.
Mm-hmm.
But she also gets the young kids because she's very relatable and she's got that motherly personality. And it's like, just come on in here and I'm just gonna love on you and make you hug you and make you
So,
feel better.
yeah.
I have my young one, Mia, who's absolutely adorable. But she's still she's learning and she's growing. She's awesome. But she doesn't I think the difference between the two is understanding an aging skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the different factors, menopause, um,
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen with the years of sun exposure, all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So again, knowing the product and knowing what product is going to go to what patients need, what that patient's need is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's really important. But again, if you know all of this and you're familiar with it, which means you have to do homework. Like you leave, you should be on. I just think with Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube and all of that, you can Google anything. I mean, when I was doing aesthetics, you had to buy a book, like a hardcover book, and try to read it. You
Yeah.
can Google anything, find it
Yeah.
out, try to understand so that when you're doing a treatment, because again, I'm a big believer that you have to do your at-home care
Mm-hmm.
as well as the treatment room. And not everybody has a budget,
Mm-hmm.
um, for certain things. So you've got to pick and choose. And I think that that's also really important is to understand what your patient's, budgets, because maybe they can't buy all four products. Maybe they can just buy one. So
Mm-hmm.
what is the best one that's going to give them that big bang
Yeah.
for their buck so that they're going to see the improvement and then they're going to say, oh gosh, maybe I will get the growth factor
Mm.
next time and the vitamin C. So
Right.
building trust. Yes, we all want to be able to have that patient who comes in and buys five products after their facial and they're out the door. But not everybody can do that.
Right.
So, but that comes with your emotional IQ also, right? That's what's going to take
Mm.
from being here to being here. But I do think that while you're doing those treatments, you should be talking to them. Hey, what's your routine at home? What are you doing? Oh, you have a new baby. You don't have time to do 5 steps before you go to bed. Let's just make it simple, silly for you. Let's get you to wash your face because that's what a lot of people don't do. And that's the biggest one where I'm like, oh God, danger, danger. Ah, wash your face. Wash. I don't care if you're drunk and you're on one leg and the sink's moving all
Wash
around.
your
Wash
face.
your face. There's a book, Girl, Wash Your Face. Wash your.
Yep.
So washing your face, I think everybody should be on a retin-A. I don't care what your age is. You should be on one. And then definitely a moisturizer. And then, a sunblock. And then
Mm.
I lived in the South for a little bit. My Michiganders, when I moved back, oh, I don't need a sunblock. The sun's not out. Well, your UV rays that you're underneath are office rays. Those lights are just as bad. Okay, they're ultraviolet lights. They're aging. I've seen the split studies where one woman sat with one light, ultraviolet light on her face for 20 years. That side was definitely had a lot more facial aging. So,
Ooh.
while you're doing a treatment, you should be talking. That's for hairdressers too. If
Mm-hmm.
you're doing, I'm a blonde with processed hair. Talk to me about a purple shampoo. Ask me,
Yes.
what is my water? Like I'm on well water. So if I don't have, I've got a reverse osmosis, but you need to tell me what I'm going to do with, and I shouldn't be washing my hair every single day. Once
Mm.
a week, tell me about a good dry shampoo. And then people don't know how to use a dry shampoo. Use it at night, not in the morning. I was like, why is my hair, this dry shampoo is a bunch of garbage. It actually works, but you got to put it on the night before.
Yeah.
Someone, but so again, I think that goes back to where we started the podcast, which is
Mm-hmm.
lifelong learners.
Yeah.
We should constantly be educating ourselves so that we can educate the patient. Because when people are educated, they'll buy,
Yeah.
but they need to know what's the rationale. Because I can go to the grocery store or Sephora and
Mm.
pick something up there, and not be any the wiser. And again, we want to have not only loyalty,
Yeah.
right? And as a business owner, that loyalty is going to come with revenue. But I also just want to make sure that I'm providing the best care for my patient at that moment too, and what their skin needs. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Amen to everything. I am like soaking this up, and I hope the people who are listening and watching also like soak this in because I am a self-professed nerd and I love to learn. I'm constantly asking questions about everything. I mean, hello, we have a podcast. So, so,
yes.
so I love, but anyway, so time is going. So what do you have going on right now in your practice, in your spa, that listeners and watchers who are in Michigan or nationwide can get in contact with you and work with you or visit you? Like, what do you have for people?
Yeah. So, gosh, besides the fact that we just want to have you as part of our family, which is amazing, um, we're doing a lot with our skincare.
Mm.
So, we do a lot of focusing on skin rejuvenation,
Mm.
a lot of facial balancing right
Mm.
now because people are on the GLP-1s. For
Yeah.
those that don't know that buzzword, that's your Ozempics, your um, uh, Mounjaro, all
Hmm.
of those
Yeah.
trizepatides. So, we're seeing a lot of that. Um, Definitely loving the peptides, wanting to work on bringing that into the practice. I take them. I love to tell people about them. I'm very passionate about that. So that's something that we want to implement. But I mean, we're just really good, wholesome basics that that you're going to be in good hands with us
I love it.
responsibly.
Yes, I definitely felt the love and the nurture, and I felt the concern, but also the passion too, just from our chat. So I can only imagine in person. So, what is one question that I did not ask, that you wish I did, and how would you have answered?
Um, I think the filtered and edited images that people put on Instagram,
Mhm.
that. again lead to unrealistic expectations, a lot of shaming, a lot of that, oh gosh, I want to look like that, and those people don't even look like that, and that's even
Mm,
with Hollywood. So I think for me, just really watching those trends. Trends are not always, sometimes it's just the good old faithfuls that
hmm.
sticking with those basics.
Yes. Okay. I like that too. Yeah, that is true because, oh man, what a fake world we're living in.
I know.
Like
I
it
know.
sucks. Like it's like, man.
I
Anyways.
know.
Anyways, Raquel, thank you for being on the Beauty Pro podcast and sharing your wisdom and experience with all of us. I really appreciated it.
Oh my goodness, I adore you. I wish that you were here. I want to hug you.
I want to hug you
If you're ever in Michigan,
too.
look us
Yeah,
up.
I will.
I love Florida. Florida's amazing.
Yay.
Hopefully you guys are having some warmer weather than when I was down there. It was a little chilly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, thank you. It's such an honor. And I think that you're very passionate too and keep empowering women with and men
Yeah.
with your knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's the plan. So if you guys are watching and listening to today's episode, definitely check out Raquel. We're going to have her links in the show notes. Go connect with her, see her, learn from her, and we'll talk to you next time.